What's going on, guys? It's Lowflord and welcome back to another Ghost of Tabor video. The wipe has finally come and there's been a lot of big changes that come with this update. And I've been playing a lot of Ghost of Tabor the past couple of days, so I want to talk about all the good stuff that came with this update and some of the bad that came with this update as well. So I will be covering some of the major issues that players have been experiencing, including myself. I've personally encountered quite a few annoying bugs that I hope will get hotfixed very soon. But I just wanted to go over this patch with you guys and give you my thoughts on this. So without further ado, let's crack straight into it. So one of the first major changes that doesn't really apply to me, but I'm sure you Quest users may find this useful, and that is the ability to buy DLCs from within the main terminal in your safe house. So if you want to upgrade your edition of Ghost of Tabor, you can go to the main terminal now to do that. Quest 2 Standalone has received some optimizations, and apparently the devs spent majority of their resources on optimizing the Quest 2 for this patch. So let me know how the game is running on the Quest 2 for you guys. Are you guys seeing any improvements of frame rate or anything like that? Or is it about the same? Easy anti-cheat is finally implemented into the game, and Fish has already posted some hackers that have been banned, so I guess it's doing its job. They've also done a slight rework on the island of Tabor again, with some POIs being removed with others being added. The biggest POI that was introduced in the most recent patch is the Church of Fish POI, and it looks absolutely awesome, and I really like the way that they just have this man's face plastered in the middle of the church. It's located just outside the military base on like the southwest side, and there's a good amount of loot at the Church of Fish, so I definitely go check it out. They also removed that little parking lot that was like in between the boathouse and the research lab, and that was replaced with foliage and trees and such. They removed the house that was just west of the research lab and replaced it with that POI that I mentioned earlier, which makes that area a better place to loot, as I never really liked the house there. It felt like filler to me. I feel like that was just kind of a place for cover or whatever, but I'm just glad to see it changed. And not sure if I'm tweaking, but it seems like the devs have bumped up the graphics, at least on the PC side. Foliage and the light bake look a lot better than it did previously. So if you guys are on PC VR, let me know if you've seen this change too. I haven't played Silo too much, but the biggest change I've seen is there's now a room that is opened up for players to spawn in, so they don't immediately run into AI in that lower level area. There were some other small changes to Island of Tabor as well, but nothing really major to comment on, and I'll be covering Island of Tabor in detail when I make my map guide, so subscribe so you can see when I post that. But moving on, there has been a huge rework to the watch. It's no longer this big ass tablet on your wrist, as it is now a regular small watch that you can cycle through. With this change brought the removal of the compass on your screen, and now you need to physically look at your watch for direction, which is a nice change in my opinion. But if you guys still want that compass on your screen, you can still go to the settings menu and you can enable it there. And since the watch is so small now, missions have been moved to the menu screen, so now you will need to open up your menu to check for your task. Another thing to know is that there is a little light on your watch that signifies whether you are muted or not. Red means you're muted, and green means you're not. But I've had issues where my light is red, but I'm still talking in game, so just kind of do it a couple times before you continue on your journey. They've reworked backpacks to help with performance and help with some delays when grabbing it as well. And we're gonna talk a little bit on the backpacks later on in this video. They added rails to the AS valve, so now you can put a sight on that. Gunshots now leave a tail sound when shooting outdoors, which is a really nice touch to the audio. And we now have the ability to inject the Nerd's Medicine into both arms, which is such a small yet welcome quality of life improvement in my opinion. One of the biggest changes we've seen to the game is the new bound in raid system. This works exactly like Escape from Tarkov when it comes to quest items. You are no longer able to buy quest items from traders and then turning that into cheese quest. You will now need to go and raid, find that item, and then turn it into the trader, which is definitely an awesome change. And they also worked on the auto reach mechanics. I haven't really felt a big change myself to the grabbing in hand mechanics. They still kind of feel a little janky, and I really hope they consider moving the gun from my waist to our back. Looting can feel like such a chore sometimes because I'm constantly grabbing a gun that I have holstered. So please guys, make this a change or give players an option like how Onward does. And I guess with that being said, we can pivot towards the bad stuff that came with this patch. Now they did say before the patch was released that there were gonna be some bugs like the gun wall and stuff like that, but I did find some issues that weren't present in the previous build. Now, something small, but I did notice it, is that the game now has a low frame rate when I first start the game. I'm assuming this is because it's doing some server-side stuff that may be causing issues. I'm not too sure. but it's not that big of a deal because it only lasts about 20 seconds and then evens out. It's a little weird, but it doesn't really affect gameplay at all, and I've also had a couple crashes on my end and ran into a couple players that crashed as well. And quick note guys, if a player is running in place and you can't kill them, that means they've been disconnected or crashed. I've also seen quest players saying that they've been experiencing crashes as well, so that's probably still a big issue. In case you guys didn't read the patch notes, the gun wall in the sec room is bugged and will take your guns and put them on the opposite side of the wall, so I would suggest not to put your guns there. Now this is where it gets to one of the bigger issues for me personally, and that is the goddamn backpacks. I don't know if it's the color red that fucked this thing up or what, but damn, it's been rather frustrating dealing with this backpack bug. It seems like backpacks aren't syncing with the network properly, which causes its physics to go haywire. I learned when your backpack starts spinning in your hand to just put it back onto your character and it will fix itself. But I've lost so many backpacks already due to them disappearing out of thin air, and I've witnessed player backpacks flying in the air after I killed them, so I hope this is fixed very soon. I also encountered a couple times when I extract that all the loot that I grabbed in raid was all gone. Then I checked the floor in my safe house and then all I seen was all the loot on the floor. So I'm just assuming it has to be some type of networking issue. But this is a pain in the ass. Let me vent real quick, okay? I'm already squatting down a ton in raid, and then I have to pick up every single item after raid to put it back in my backpack to then sell it. Yeah, I didn't lose the gear, but it's still a pain in the ass to do, and it worked perfectly fine before. So I hope this issue is fixed as soon as possible. Another issue I ran into was the conveyor belt eating all of the loot that I found in raid. I mean, I would have made a killing on this run. I literally found a graphics card and a bunch of other good loot, only to lose it in a matter of seconds by doing what you're supposed to do in game. Now don't get me wrong, like I love this game. This is possibly my favorite game in VR at the moment. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, like after I encountered those bugs, I was a little irritated, so I hopped on Breachers and I had an amazing time on that game. Now don't get me wrong, I am not telling you to not play Ghosts of Tabor, not at all. I mean, as soon as I was done on Breachers, I went right back onto Ghosts of Tabor. What I'm ultimately trying to say here is that this possibly could have been avoided if the devs would have just taken an extra couple days to iron out these bugs, instead of releasing it early when they did, or late depending on how you look at it. I'm sure many players bought the game on wipe to only be met with some annoying issues that will be patched out in a week or so, and I just don't want the game to lose players over little issues that can be cleaned up. This is Combat Waffle Studios' first game, and the game has only been in development for a little bit over a year, and you can kind of tell, but more so you can see the vision and the dedication that these small devs have. I know I mentioned Breachers earlier, and that game runs pretty much flawlessly, but the game is also developed by Triangle Factory, who already have a pretty big VR game under their belt, being Hyperdash. So those devs have a lot more experience when it comes to putting out a full-fledged product. Also, don't forget that this game is in early access and will continue to be for the next couple of years. Scott said this himself in that AMA that they had with the Discord, so if the game starts to bug you or you get Tabored, then maybe take a little break and play something else and wait for a hotfix, or even a couple months if the bugs are bothering you too much. I know this may sound like a super bad video, or you may think I'm trashing the devs, but that's not it at all. I commend these devs for creating an experience like no other in VR. I know these issues will be ironed out soon enough, but I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts on the current state of Ghosts of Tabor. I know this was a long one, guys, and I hope you guys did stick around to the end, but I would like to know how the wipe has been treating you guys. Are you guys still enjoying Ghosts of Tabor? Let me know in the comments below. I have a bunch of content that I'm working on for you guys, including map guides, loot routes, and quest guides as well. I'm also working on a Breachers video, so you guys can subscribe so you don't miss the video out on that. And I'm also working on a Fast and Low video, which is like a SWAT style game but in VR. So make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of that. But that's enough plugging myself in. Thanks for coming out to watch the video, guys. I really do appreciate it. I'm Loaf Lord, and stay toasty out there.